Okay, let's dive in. For most of us, the story we've been told about reality, about ourselves, the universe, it feels kind of incomplete, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like maybe God's way out there or the cosmos is just a cold accident.
Exactly. Or maybe our whole purpose is just, getting through this life. But what if? What if there's a totally different story? Something vast, structured, deeply intentional that's just been overlooked.
Well, that's pretty much exactly what the source material for this deep dive gets into. We're looking at this book, one that claims to reveal this grander picture.
Right.
And our sources describe it as rarely discussed, often dismissed, and hidden in plain sight. It's called the Urantia Book.
The Urantia Book, okay.
And it makes this really extraordinary claim that it wasn't written by any human, not composed by us, but dictated by higher intelligences.
Oh, okay. So that's our mission today then, to sort of be your guides through all this dense material. We're going to try and cut through the sheer volume of it and pull out the really key nuggets, help you understand what this frankly challenging text is actually saying. Think of it as your shortcut to grappling with some ideas that could really make you rethink everything.
Absolutely. We'll dig into its origin story, which is honestly stranger than fiction.
Okay.
We'll look at its cosmology, its map of the universe, which is just mind-bending, far more structured, more alive than you usually think.
Right.
Then there's its explanation for why things feel so off here on Earth, the suffering, the chaos.
Which is a huge question for everyone.
Exactly. And its perspective on Jesus, really radical. Plus this idea that there's a divine spark, like actually inside every single person.
A divine presence within. Interesting.
Yeah. And finally, we have to ask, if this book makes these massive claims, why isn't it, everywhere? Why is it still relatively unknown?
That's the great question. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Where did this thing even come from? Chicago, right? Back in the 1920s.
Yeah. That's where the story starts, according to our sources. It centers around this figure, Dr. William Sadler. He was a very well-respected psychiatrist back then.
Known for being skeptical, wasn't he? Like, he debunked mediums.
Exactly. He was famous for exposing fraud, spiritualist stuff, so he was definitely not predisposed to believe weird things when he got called in.
Called in for what?
To examine this man, who would apparently fall into these deep sleeps. And while asleep, he'd deliver these incredibly complex discourses.
Okay, but not just sleep talking, right? The sources make a point of that.
Not at all. I mean, the vocabulary, the concept, the sheer intellectual depth, it was apparently way beyond anything the man himself was capable of when awake, far beyond his education or normal way of...
So Sadler, the skeptic, what did he make of it?
Well, naturally, he was highly skeptical at first. Did all sorts of tests, observations, tried to find a medical or psychological explanation, and he couldn't. Over time, he apparently became convinced that whatever was happening, it was, well, unprecedented. Something genuinely unexplained.
So what did he do?
He gathered this group, mostly colleagues, doctors, intellectuals, other professionals. They became known as the Forum.
The Forum, okay.
And for over 20 years, they met regularly. They meticulously documented everything. They'd formulate questions.
Wait, they could ask questions?
Yeah, they'd pose questions, and then apparently answers would come through in subsequent sessions while the man was asleep. They ended up with thousands and thousands of pages of this stuff.
20 years. Wow.
Yep.
And that became the book.
That material, yes. It was finally published in 1955 by something called the Urantia Foundation. And here's a really key point the source highlights.
What's that?
No author's name on the cover. No single person stepping up saying, "I'm the guru, follow me."
Huh.
No big marketing push, no demands for people to join anything or swear allegiance. It just appeared.
That is unusual,
Yeah.
especially for something claiming, ultimate truth. Usually there's a face, a movement.
Right. The source points out this quietness is really notable. It basically just asks people to study it, to think about it, not to just blindly believe that lack of a power grab. Interesting.
It definitely sets a different tone. So, okay, the origin is weird. What about the content? You said the cosmology is mind-bending.
Yeah, it really is. You open the book and right away the picture of the universe it paints is vast and not like cold and empty vast.
How so?
It doesn't describe it as just a random accident, an explosion into nothingness. Our sources say the book presents it as a living, breathing system, super intricate, organized, hierarchical, and created with intention.
Okay, so more than just God made it, but also not just physics.
Much more detailed than the first and way more purposeful than the second. It maps out existence on a scale that's honestly hard to wrap your head around.
Give me the basics.
Okay, so at the absolute center, there's this place called Havona, the central universe. It's described as perfect, eternal, the actual home of the Universal Father.
Havona. Got it. The perfect core.
Then, surrounding Havona, there are 7 enormous superuniverses.
7 of them.
Yep, and each one contains, get this, billions of inhabited worlds.
Billion. With a B. Okay, that's
It really is. And our little planet, Earth, which the book calls Urantia in its cosmic naming system.
Urantia.
We're located in just one of those 7 superuniverses. Ours is called Orvonton.
Orvonton. So our whole galaxy, the Milky Way.
It's just a part of Orvonton, yeah.
So right off the bat, the message is we are not the center of the universe. Not even close.
Not even remotely. The book basically says Earth, or Urantia, is just one evolutionary world among countless others. And frankly, it describes us as being in its infancy, still learning to crawl, cosmically speaking.
That puts things in perspective. Is it just space, or is there structure, administration?
Oh, absolutely structure. The book details this incredibly complex cosmic administration. It talks about different orders of beings, like the Ancients of Days, who govern the superuniverses.
Ancients of Days.
Yeah. Or Creator Sun, who are responsible for creating and managing entire local universes within the superuniverses.
And that connects to Jesus.
Exactly. It identifies the being we know as Jesus as Michael of Nebadon, the creator son of our local universe, Nebadon.
Wow. And these beings, Ancients of Days, Creator Sons, they're presented as real, not just symbols.
According to the source, yes. Real, conscious entities within a defined structure, just operating on levels we can't currently perceive. Our spiritual vision isn't developed enough, basically.
So the universe isn't just stuff happening, it's managed, governed.
That's the picture. Operating under divine laws, cosmic order, and this principle of ongoing growth. Planets evolve, souls progress through stages.
Souls progress.
Yeah, ascension. The book talks about literally trillions of beings who are way ahead of us in consciousness and development.
So the universe is less like a chaotic mess and more like a school.
That's a great way to put it. The source uses that exact analogy, more like a school than a battlefield. A structured cosmic classroom for souls to learn and evolve through experience.
Okay, that's a profoundly different view. But it brings up the big question. If it's also ordered and intentional, why does our world, Urantia, feel so messed up? So much suffering, conflict, confusion.
If it's a school, why does it feel like detention hall half the time? The Urantia book tackles this head-on, and its explanation isn't really about original sin or humans just being inherently bad.
What is it?
It introduces this idea of a cosmic rebellion.
A rebellion, like Star Wars.
Sort of, but maybe more philosophical. The source describes Lucifer not as, the pitchfork guy,
right,
but as a real high-level administrator in our local system of planets. And apparently, hundreds of thousands of years ago, he initiated this revolt.
What was he rebelling against?
His argument, according to the book, was basically about freedom versus divine guidance. He argued that intelligent beings like us didn't actually need cosmic oversight, that autonomy, self-assertion, should trump aligning with the divine plan.
A war of ideas, the source called it.
Exactly. And apparently, a significant number of other celestial beings in the system sided.
Okay, so how does Earth fit in?
Critically, Urantia Earth got caught up in this rebellion. Our planetary leadership at the time sided with Lucifer. And as a result, the book says, our world was essentially cut off, quarantined, spiritually isolated from the main circuits of universe administration.
Cut off, like punished.
The book frames it more as containment, like quarantining a disease to stop it spreading through the rest of the local system. Not punishment, but isolation. Earth became a kind of spiritual island.
Wow. So that's the explanation for why things feel dark sometimes. Why prophets talk about separation.
That's the idea, not that God abandoned us, but that we were operating in isolation without the full connection to the larger cosmic family and its support systems.
It makes you think about all those myths. Fall of man, exile from Eden, angels cast down.
Exactly. The source suggests many religions hold distorted fragments of this core story, but over time it got twisted into narratives about guilt, shame, damnation, stuff designed to instill fear and control rather than just explain a broken connection.
So the key takeaway here is this isolation, this rupture. It's not permanent, not an eternal curse.
Not at all, according to the book. It states the rebellion is largely over now, the quarantine is lifting, the circuits are being reconnected, Earth is slowly, sometimes painfully, rejoining the cosmic family.
So the chaos we see now could be like growing pains, birth pains.
That's exactly how the source frames it. The birth pain of a planet waking up after a long, difficult isolation.
That really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How the systems we've built here, political, religious, economic, might have been shaped by operating in that shadow, doing the best they could without the full picture, the full light.
It's a profound thought, and it leads directly into another huge area the book tackles.
Yeah.
The nature and mission, the traditional story, manger to cross, died for our sins.
Right, that's the dominant narrative.
The Urantia book presents something radically different. It says Jesus wasn't just a teacher or a prophet. He was actually Michael of Nebadon.
The creator son we mentioned earlier, the one who made our local universe.
The very same. The book explains that these creator sons undertake what are called bestowal. They choose to incarnate, to live as one of the beings they created within their own creation.
Why would they do that?
To fully understand their creature, to gain perfect empathy, to earn the right to rule not just by power, but by experience. And Michael, our creator son, chose Earth Urantia for his 7th and final bestowal. He came to live as a human.
Okay, this is the crucial difference then. The book says he came to live, not primarily to die.
Exactly, that's the emphasis. He didn't come because God needed a blood sacrifice to forgive us. He came to experience the full spectrum of human life, birth, family, work, learning, joy, sorrow, even doubt and struggle, to walk in our
To show us how it's done.
Precisely. To demonstrate in his own life what a human life lived in perfect harmony with the indwelling divine will looks like. His mission wasn't about founding a religion focused on him, but modeling the path of spiritual growth for everyone. His life was the lesson.
The source mentioned in the book goes into incredible detail about his life, beyond the Bible.
Oh, yeah. It covers his childhood, his teenage years, the so-called lost years, travels, studies, working as a boat builder, dealing with family issues, moments of deep human emotion and struggle. It really paints a picture of someone fully human, grappling with life while simultaneously being fully divine.
So living that life, that's how he earned the right to
govern his universe with perfect understanding, perfect empathy. He became, in the truest sense, our brother, our friend, our example, not just our ruler.
So what about the crucifixion, if it wasn't required by God?
The book presents it as a result of human fear, ignorance, religious rigidity, and political expedience. It wasn't the divine plan, but a consequence of our own limited understanding and actions at the time.
But even then,
his response was forgiveness, love, demonstrating his message even in the face of betrayal and death, transcending vengeance.
So the big reframe here is, understand Jesus, don't just worship him. See him as Michael, the creator who walked among us to show us our potential.
Exactly. He wasn't meant to make you feel small or unworthy. He came to show you what's possible when a human partners with the divine within. Not to be put on a pedestal, but to be followed not blindly, but by living according to the principles he embodied. He came to show you how to essentially save yourself through that inner alignment.
And that ties right into this idea of the divine within us, doesn't it? This thought adjustment.
Perfectly. Because if Jesus showed the potential of a human life aligned with the divine, the book then says that potential connection isn't unique to him. It's inherent in everyone. It challenges that old idea that we're fundamentally broken, inherently sinful, needing fixing from the outside.
So this fragment of divine presence, not just a nice thought, is presented as real.
Very real. Not material in the way we think of it, but an actual individualized fragment of the universal Father indwelling the human mind. The source calls it the thought adjuster.
The thought adjuster, and it's like our inner compass.
That's a perfect description. Your truest, most reliable guide. It doesn't speak in words usually. It's more like nudges of insight, the voice of conscience, moments of spiritual intuition, that quiet pull towards goodness, truth, beauty.
But it doesn't force.
Absolutely not. The book stresses this. It always respects your free will. It invites, it suggests, it guides, but it never coerces. That's presented as the paradox of divine love. It offers guidance, but honors your...
We've all felt that, haven't we? That little voice, that gut feeling, that sense in quiet moments that there's more.
Right. The book suggests that as contact. That's the adjuster whispering, nudging, inviting you to wake up and cooperate more consciously.
So the core idea is huge. We're not separate from God. We literally carry a piece of God within us.
That's the claim. It's your divine inheritance. It means the spiritual journey isn't about finding some external God, but about cultivating a relationship with this divine presence already inside you.
And it wants cooperation, not worship.
Exactly. It doesn't need rituals or praise. It seeks your conscious choices, decisions aligned with truth, beauty, goodness. It waits patiently to just turn down the outer noise and tune into that inner.
But that's the challenge, isn't it? Our world is so noisy.
Masterfully designed to drown it out, the source suggests. Constant stimulation, chasing external validation, synthetic desires. The more we look outside for our worth, the harder it is to hear that quiet inner voice.
Where does it speak clearest then?
According to the book, in silence, in moments of genuine integrity, in honest self-reflection, in acts of selfless service. It's the most personal, direct connection you have. Pure.
So the path to growth, to transformation, it's about partnering with this adjustment.
Conscious partnership, every moral choice, every effort to learn and grow, every act of love, these strengthen the connection, help your soul evolve. Each choice is effectively a vote alignment or separation. It makes every moment potentially significant on a cosmic scale.
It flips the script completely. Not a sinner needing saving, but an evolving soul waking up to where it came from.
Exactly. Spiritual growth starts with trusting that inner guide. You're not broken, just incomplete. And that incompleteness is the space for growth, for becoming. Once you really start hearing that voice, needing external validation falls away. You know your path because your soul remembers.
Okay, so if we have this inner guide and we're meant to grow, what about this life? Is this it? One shot?
That's another fundamental idea the Urantia Book challenges. The notion that this single lifetime on Earth is the be-all and end-all.
What does it propose instead?
It presents our life here as just the very, very beginning, the first step on a long, continuous journey of soul evolution that stretches across countless worlds and levels of reality.
So we're souls in transit. Earth is just the starting line.
Precisely. It explicitly calls Urantia the starting point, the first classroom, not the final exam, not the destination.
So what happens after? Well, after this classroom.
The book describes a process of soul ascension. It's not a simple heaven-hell judgment. It's a structured progression.
Where do we go?
Immediately after death, it says you awaken on what are called the mansion worlds.
Mansion worlds, like actual place.
Described as very real, purposeful realm. Think of them as the next level of school where your spiritual education continues and intensifies. You learn, you grow, you shed limitation. Each level prepares you for the next stage.
So it's not about resting internally, it's about continuing education.
Very much so. Refining consciousness, expanding understanding. And the source is clear. This isn't reincarnation like coming back to Earth again and again.
No do-overs here.
It's forward momentum. You progress through a vast, divinely designed curriculum that spans galaxies and ages. The goal isn't hitting perfection in 80 years here, but steady growth across countless stages.
That's a lot less pressure, in a way. Are we doing this alone?
Absolutely not. The book describes a whole universe teeming with spiritual beings, guides, teachers, helpers, whose job it is to assist us on this journey. You're known, you're supported.
That contrasts sharply with systems that put everything on this one life, doesn't it? Salvation or damnation based on what happens here.
It really does. The book implies those compressed, often fear-based views are a misunderstanding, maybe born out of that period of isolation, lacking the bigger picture of cosmic design and divine patience.
So the Urantia book offers a more dynamic view. Our soul is involved in its own path.
Definitely. It's a co-creator. The choices you make here, courage over fear, love over selfishness, seeking truth, they matter. They shape your trajectory on this immense journey.
So what's the point of Earth life then? What's the main lesson in this first classroom?
It boils down to learning to live in conscious partnership with that divine fragment within, the thought adjuster, learning alignment. That's the core curriculum, not external achievements or following rules perfectly.
And the ultimate goal of this whole journey.
The book says its eventual arrival at the center, paradise, reaching the personal presence of the Universal Father. But that's a journey across vast stretch time.
You know, that feeling people sometimes have of not quite fitting in here or aching for something more, like a homesickness they can't place.
The source suggests those feelings might be whispers of the soul, hints of this larger journey, echoes of a path that started long before Earth, continues long after. You're meant to wake up, grow, and move on.
So death, in this context, it's not an end.
It's a transition, a graduation to the next grade. The soul keeps learning, keeps climbing. You're a pilgrim on a very long road, and that road is designed for your growth, which brings us back to that fascinating puzzle. If this book offers such a detailed, hopeful, expansive vision, if it reinterprets God, Jesus, the soul, the cosmos, if it claims this wild origin, why isn't it common knowledge? Why isn't it debated everywhere?
Yeah, that's the big question hanging over all this. If it's so revolutionary, why the relative obscurity?
Well, the source material offers a pretty blunt answer. It argues the book isn't obscure because it's trivial. It's obscure because it's profoundly inconvenient for established systems.
Inconvenient how?
It doesn't just add information, it basically bypasses entire structures of authority and control. It doesn't fit existing boxes, it's not quite religion, not just philosophy, not hard science.
So it threatens the status quo.
That's the argument. Think about systems built on external authority, clergy, dogma, rituals, institutions telling you the truth. This book essentially says the highest authority is the divine spark inside you, and here's a map of reality, go figure it out.
It cuts out the middleman.
Completely. There are no priests in the Urantia Book structure, no required rituals beyond that inner alignment, no demand for blind faith. It offers knowledge without control, insight without indoctrination.
Which, for systems based on mediating truth or grace, that's a problem.
A fundamental problem, the source suggests. It challenges theology by rewriting the cosmos and Jesus' role. It challenges institutions by saying God is directly accessible within you, no mediator required.
So, organized religions might resist it because it doesn't reinforce their structures, doesn't rely on guilt or salvation through the institution.
Pretty much. It calls for personal understanding and partnership with the inner divine, not external worship mediated by an organization. It shifts the power inward.
And what about academia?
Science.
The source suggests they tend to avoid it too, but for different reasons. Grappling with its claims would mean opening doors to questions that cross disciplines and challenge existing scientific and philosophical paradigms. It uses its own terminology, doesn't fit neatly into peer review boxes.
So it's easier to just dismiss it as weird pseudoscience.
Or just a curiosity, without actually engaging the content seriously. It's hard to contain, hard to categorize using existing academic frameworks.
It's ironic, isn't it? If it had a flashy leader, a big marketing budget.
It might be everywhere, but it arrived quietly, no author, no hype. Just there.
Yeah.
Hidden in plain sight, as the source says, for decades now.
So the takeaway is, maybe it's not ignored because it's wrong, but because it's disruptive. That's the provocative idea from the source. It doesn't demand belief. It dares you to think, to question everything you've inherited. It's a quiet confrontation.
So for anyone listening who's felt that itch, that feeling the standard answers don't add up, that something deeper is missing, this book offers a different lens.
A radically different lens. A universe alive with purpose, guided by design. A God offering partnership, not demanding loyalty. Human life woven into this immense, meaningful, cosmic pattern.
And the book's challenge ultimately isn't about adopting a new belief system.
No, it's more like it gives you tools to examine and maybe dismantle the old systems within your own thinking. It challenges you to rethink everything spiritual, alive, human.
And it points
Yeah.
where? For the answers.
Right back to you, your own conscience, your intuition, that inner divine compass, the thought. And the source makes this really powerful point. The moment you truly start listening to and trusting that.
It can become dangerous to the system.
In a way, yeah. Not dangerous like a threat, but dangerous to control structure. Because you stop needing their validation, their permission, their definitions of reality or God.
That personal freedom, that inner authority, it doesn't fit neatly into political boxes or religious structures.
Can't be easily monetized or controlled. It's yours. These external systems often rely on us buying into ideas of limitation, unworthiness, separation. When you see the divine spark within, that whole narrative starts to crumble. Their power is largely psychological.
It depends on our agreement.
Exactly. And maybe just hearing about these ideas starts to make you question that agreement. You start to remember something older, deeper than the stories you've been fed. Once you see the bars of the cage aren't real, just ideas, you can choose to step out.
And the book itself, it doesn't demand you believe it blindly.
Quite the opposite. It explicitly encourages critical thinking, study, personal investigation. It lays out this massive framework and essentially trusts you, the reader, to be capable of engaging with it intelligently.
So you don't have to swallow it whole.
Not at all. But just exploring it. Wrestling with its ideas. You probably won't look at things the same way. It might just highlight how much our potential has been underestimated. We weren't meant to just comply. We were meant to expand. Our lives aren't random. They're sacred, purpose. Maybe, as the source suggests, you're listening to this right now because something in you is ready for it. Ready to step outside the script, question the limits, ask the bigger questions. Maybe you are the proof that the human spirit can't ultimately be contained by any external system.
It's true. The book didn't arrive shouting. It's been waiting quietly. No brand, no movement, no leader demanding loyalty. Just existing, daring you to engage.
And people who read it often say it feels less like they're reading the book and more like the book is somehow reading them.
How so?
It doesn't use fear or promise easy rewards. It just tells this incredibly vast, ordered, yet deeply human story. A story that resonates with that inner knowing that you're part of something immense, making you question why you ever settled for less.
It sounds like it can rewire your whole perspective. Life, death, purpose, identity.
It can. It might not hand you simple answers, but it gives you permission to ask the really deep question. What if my soul is growing towards something amazing? What if Jesus was showing me the path home right here, right now?
Those are, the source called them tectonic shifts, not small adjustments.
And when those shifts start happening inside, your relationship with everything changes. You see through illusions, not just out there, but the ones in your own head too. The shame, the guilt, the fear, they start to feel artificial. imposed.
And something older, more authentic starts to emerge.
Something that doesn't need outside permission. You feel like you're not just finding truth, but remembering something the soul already knew. And whether you take the book literally or as profound philosophy, the effect is transformative. It disrupts, disorients, then potentially clarifies. Its power is in what it activates in you.
So the real deep dive isn't just the book, it's into yourself.
Exactly. You don't engage with these ideas and stay the same. You either push them away or you start to live differently. Not fighting the system, but aligning with that inner knowing. Because once you glimpse that bigger picture, that your life matters cosmically, that your soul's on an incredible journey just conforming feels impossible, you realize you're here to evolve, experience, awaken.
So we've covered a lot. This deep dive looked at the Urantia book through our source material. The strange origins, the huge cosmology, the cosmic rebellion explaining suffering, Jesus reframed, that divine spark inside the soul's journey.
And why something this significant might remain relatively unknown. Yeah, it's been quite a tour.
And it really wasn't just about unpacking one book, was it? It was about seeing how a single source can throw down such a challenge to everything we think we know, and maybe, just maybe, strike a chord deep inside you.
Because its core challenge, as the sources present it, is that it just doesn't fit. It asks you point blank to question your foundations.
Which brings it right back listening now. You've heard these ideas, you can't really unhear them.
So the source material leaves us and you with a really provocative question to chew. Is this just an interesting, complex book, or could it be some kind of blueprint?
And the choice for you is, what do you do with that? Ignore or explore it further. Maybe trust that little flicker of recognition inside, if you felt one.
Because ultimately, the truth, whatever it may be, doesn't need our belief to be real, but maybe your own journey, your own understanding is waiting for you to take that next step, to start seeking